Ladies and gentlemen, this is Lions Den with another news and commentary. Democratic presidential candidate Cory Booker. Now wants to, introduce a Senate bill that, talk about supporting slavery reparations. Remember, when we ask all the questions of Cory Booker, he laughs and dodges questions and don't want to deal with that question. Don't even want to deal with reparations, period. Now all of a sudden he wants to go. Now we want to create a bill that study, and like I said, study about slave reparations. See, the ADOS is not going to accept this because you basically talk about HR 40 that deals with slave reparations. It don't even, and I'm gonna play this video in a second, but it don't even, explain the idea of giving reparations at all. All they do is try to study it and all that. Did you talk about when after the Holocaust do you give the Jews quote unquote reparations? Study it, or what about the Japanese with the concentration camps? See, this is all talk. And this is from the root.com. And I want you guys to listen what Cory Booker was saying that, quote, I don't have the answers to that. But yet you want to introduce a bill talking about studying a slave reparations. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's this interview from the root.com. And then after that, I'm going to continue the rest of my commentary.
There are a number of candidates that are talking about reparations. Yes. Do you support reparations for black people?
I support reparations. I support economically designed programs with race as a conscious part of them that balance the scales and address past ills, not just slavery, but even things that were going on until the 50s, 60s, in 70s that were specifically race-conscious programs that were designed to disadvantage African Americans. So if you have programs that were designed to create the problems by excluding African Americans in housing, in mortgage loans, in access to capital, we need to have things with race in mind that are conscious to balance those scales and address those past ills.
What does that plan look like, and what are you proposing to do to explore reparations for black people?
Well, I don't have all the answers, and I think that we should pull the best minds in America together to do them. So there's a bill you've heard mentioned a lot, HR 40. Well, we're announcing today that I am going to be the Senate champion, the Senate sponsor of the HR 40 bill in the Senate. I'm proud to be the person, and we've been working on this for a long time, to bring together the best minds to now support the Senate companion and hopefully get this bill passed into law. But I'm not waiting, because there's a lot of folks in my neighborhood who want the scales balanced now. And that's why I've been pushing a lot of legislation with specifically as I designed it to deal with these inequities. We need to figure out what the larger plan is. That's why I'm leading on the Senate version for HR 40. But right now, again, people in my community don't have time to wait. My baby bonds plan, which would be putting $1,000 into the bank accounts of every American child born, and then based upon income every year, you can get deposits in that account. The lowest income people would get $2,000. With compounding interest, by the time a child is 18 years old, the lowest income kids would have upwards of $50,000 of wealth now to invest in things that create wealth, generational wealth, education, buying a home, starting a business. As Columbia University analyzed that, it would collapse the racial wealth gaps between blacks and whites. That would make a real difference in this community where so many children are born below the poverty.
And I just want to be perfectly clear, because many people are not sure where your position is. You definitely support reparations for black people.
Yes.
But right now, you are providing these other alternative plans until there's a comprehensive way to get those reparations for black people, just to be clear.
Yeah, but we are having important discussions and debates. But I return to a low-income African-American community. My folks have urgent needs right now. You walk with me around my block. There are folks that need jobs. There are folks that need housing. There are folks that need economic opportunity. That's one of the reasons I stay rooted here. So I have a sense of urgency. And so that's why when I lead the Senate on marijuana reform, I make sure I get out there in front to lead, but talk to people about restorative justice. That's why I lead the Senate on issues of dealing with American poverty, but do it knowing that if I can do the right bills, they're going to have a disproportionate impact on communities of color.
Do you feel some of the presidential candidates are pandering to black people about the reparations conversation?
Yeah, look, again, my whole life career has been in black communities, and I've seen lots of people come into my communities to campaign for votes, and respect that. I support Democrat. I'll support whoever the Democratic nominee is. I hope it's me. But this whole reparation conversation has been frustrating to me, who lives in an African American community where there are daily urgencies. That when we wake up, there is a sense of who's fighting for us. And so for this reparations conversation to be now reduced to a box people are checking on a presidential campaign, as opposed to a life purpose to try to balance the scales, to right the wrongs. I'm not calling into question any of the convictions of the other presidential candidates. Some of them are like family members to me. They fight in the trenches with me. They support these issues. But I'm talking about this larger conversation and how we're having it right now. As a guy that gets very frustrated and angry when I watch national conversations about things like marijuana, we're like, let's just legalize marijuana and not do something to correct, where everybody's saying those issues and in the same voice talk about, hey, I'm doing this not just because I want to let adult users have access to marijuana, fine, but we should be doing this. The purpose of this is to address the historic, ongoing, racist applications of marijuana laws in this country. I've been unapologetic in talking about that. I put in legislation years ago to address that. And now suddenly it's a presidential campaign, and we've reduced so many of these conversations about racial inequities and disparities to a check on a box. Do you support reparations? Yes. Next. No. No. This is not going to solve the problems we have in this country that are hurting us all.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You know, Cory Booker is full of it, right? At first, he was talking about when he was on the Breakfast Club, when I don't know if it was Charlemagne the God or DJ Envy asked that question about reparations. He was laughing it off, and then when he have a town hall meeting, one person asked about slave reparations, and he was dodging the question. He didn't even want to talk about it. Now, all of a sudden, he wants to introduce a bill in the Senate saying that we have to have a conversation about slave reparations. See, the only reason why Senator Cory Booker is talking about this is because there's so much public pressure from the ADOS and other black activists. Because it seems to me that he still don't want to deal with this conversation. And so he has to play cool. He has to play nice to people like the Root and others, so that so they would say, okay, he's for reparations now. But again, the only reason why, again, like I said, the only reason why that he's even talk about this conversation is because he needs the black vote to try to defeat Donald Trump in 2020 elections. Now, you got Elizabeth Warren talking about it. You got Senator Kamala Harris is talking about it. You got now Bernie Sanders coming out of woodwork, even though he's claiming he don't even know what reparations about blacks that they needed. He's now coming to talk about it. See, all these Democratic presidential candidates are now coming out and talk about slave reparations. It's because of the ADOS movement. We push these guys, and basically we have pressure of these candidates to talk about or to put legislation on the floor for slave reparations. And then some of the answers he was talking about, well, I don't, and you heard what he says, that he basically don't have any ideas. But at the same time, at first you really didn't want to talk about slave reparations. You would rather dodge the question than talk about it. So now all of a sudden you want to come on TV, or you want to go on the Root, or you want to go on Fox News saying, yeah, I'm for slave reparations because Kamala Harris is bringing it up, because Elizabeth Warren is bringing it up, because Bernie Sanders is bringing it up, Juan Castro's bringing it up. All these 2020 Democratic presidential candidates is talking about slave reparations. And basically, you wouldn't have talked about it if it wasn't for us ADOS. You wouldn't talk about it at all. So it seems to me now that he wants to try to say, well, I'm going to do this because I used to live in the black community. You really didn't want to deal with the topic at first. You did not want to talk about slave reparations. And the only reason why you're talking about it and make it a bill now is because ADOS and other black activists is putting you Democratic candidates pressure of bringing slave reparations up for black people. We've been fighting for this we've been fighting for this for decades. And now all of a sudden, first y'all want to dodge the question, y'all want to laugh it off, but now you want to say, well, I'm going to go ahead and introduce a Senate bill to have a study. Now on Fox News, I read an article on Fox News, and on their website they said that he wants to have a study of slave reparations. So I want people to really read what he was really saying. And so the only reason why he's saying this now is because he knew he needed the black vote to beat Donald Trump in 2020, along with other Democratic presidential candidates. They need the black vote so they can go ahead and just bring the slave reparations in. And again, like I said, we as ADOS ain't gonna fall from no banana in no tailpipe, because we want solutions. We want proof y'all gonna do what y'all gonna do. And guess what? We need billions of dollars. I'm sorry, billions. I'm gonna take that back. We want trillions of dollars worth of reparations. Trillions with a T, not a B, not an M, but a T. And again, ADOS is like, if you don't support that, then guess what's gonna happen? You're not getting our vote. A lot of blacks in this country won't get any votes. So, ladies and gentlemen, tell me what you think about this. Like, click, subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification bell for all the news and commentary. With that being said, this is Lions Den signing off. Deuces.